Hello, today we'll discuss about why we have three Wi-Fi bands, why not only one band. But here we have the 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. What is the difference between these three bands? What are the pros and cons for each one? So let's go. So first of all, I'm not talking about the cellular bands because that's a separate topic. We probably have a separate video to discuss about the cellular smartphone bands that you can see here. And yes, there are a lot of bands that is used for cellular, especially here in North America or probably Europe or Asia or anywhere on Earth. And these are licensed bands, but that's not the topic for this video. Probably you can have a separate video to discuss these bands. We are actually talking about the Wi-Fi 802.11 standard, and these bands are mainly the 2.4 gigahertz, which is very popular band used everywhere, is unlicensed band. Obviously, in most of the countries, depend when you are located, the local regulations, the rules, and so on. We also have the 5 gigahertz that is a little bit newer but is widely used everywhere, and the 6 gigahertz as well, that is mainly used for new Wi-Fi generations. The main focus of this video is to discuss what is the difference between these three bands and the pros and cons for each one. 2.4 gigahertz travels further distances compared to the 5 and 6 gigahertz, and this is the first feature that you should know about. It can also penetrate better the solid objects, dry walls, and so on. So why is that? Why 2.4 can travel more distances or further distances compared to the 5 and 6 gigahertz? And the reason is the RF characteristics of an RF wave. When we have a lower frequency, we have a longer wavelength. When we have a higher frequency, we have a shorter wavelength. As you can see, the 2.4 gigahertz has a longer wavelength compared to the 5 and 6 gigahertz. The 2.4 gigahertz offers only 12.5 centimeter wavelength compared to the 6 centimeter for 5 gigahertz and 5 centimeter for 6 gigahertz. And this is a RF characteristics of any RF signal. Having said that, there is certain advantage of having a shorter wave. For example, it offers better capacity, more speed, as we will see in this video. Here is another view of the three bands in the frequency domain. So as you can see, the 2.4 gigahertz has a frequency range of around 100 megahertz. However, it's very limited frequency range, but you can't use all of it. You probably could use a clean three channels, which is channel 1, 6, and 11. And that's about it. So you could use three channels, and that's why you have very limited bandwidth offered on the 2.4 gigahertz. This band is very crowded because it's unlicensed band, is used by amateurs, used by different appliances, used by the microwave. Is very prone to interference. While the other bands is a little bit cleaner and it offers a bigger bandwidth. When you have more bandwidth, that means you can get higher speed. Now, in 5 gigahertz, it offers almost 500 or 600 megahertz of bandwidth. The picture here is pretty small, but it offers you a lot of channels that you can aggregate, and then you can offer a higher speed downlink and uplink. For 6 gigahertz, it offers even a bigger bandwidth, is almost 1200 megahertz. So it's astronomically bigger than the 2.4, is much clearer band, and it offers a bigger capacity compared to the other bands.
It's all about speed. The 2.4 band can offer up to 600 MHz in ideal conditions. However, the 5 and 6 bands can offer up to 6.9 GHz under ideal conditions. Newer Wi-Fi generations can offer higher speeds by aggregating several channels and by using advanced signal processing techniques. The 2.4 GHz band gives you slower speeds at a wider coverage, while the 5 GHz band gives you faster speeds at a smaller coverage. So, if you want the fastest Wi-Fi speeds, you should always use the 5 GHz band.
As a summary, 2.4 GHz has a bigger coverage, better at penetrating objects and walls, but however, at the same time, it has very limited bandwidth, and that's why a limited speed is too crowded. It's used by many users and is very prone to interference. On the other hand, the 5 and the 6 GHz offer much bigger bandwidth, much higher speeds. Especially the new generation of the Wi-Fi is less prone to interference, especially if you have the channels are separated and they don't overlap. It's less crowded and, as I said, is a bigger bandwidth. Now, the cons are to have a smaller coverage. It works at penetrating objects and walls. So I hope that this video helps you. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.